make the funnel
really,
bigger.
Honestly, it's being used how people are permitted that aren't supposed to be there.
Right, that are living in the apartments probably.
So, or the office buildings, no matter how many times it's there.
Yeah.
So I don't really think it hurts anything taking it away.
Everybody all set? Call the meeting to order of May 11th, 2020, Town Council meeting, virtual Town Council meeting. So first order of business is the invocation and pledge. So if you please stand. Start with the invocation.
All right, let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for allowing us to gather today as we meet today and we serve the residents of Leonardtown. I pray that we can you give us the wisdom and knowledge to have a very productive meeting, and thankful that we are able to meet today. Father, I pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Very good. Lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And we do have a new member with us today, Nick Colvin. Congratulations. Jada with being elected. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Glad to,
Congratulations to you.
thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, okay, let's go and get started. And everyone should receive a copy of the minutes from last month. Other than Nick, of course. He wasn't with us last month.
I move to approve the April 13th, 2020 minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And one abstention. Thank you. Rebecca, Treasurer's report, please.
Okay, in your packet was financial information ending April 30th. There were no transfers to or from the local government investment pool. We are 83% through the budget year. I don't have any comments. If there are questions, just let me know. But again, we can revisit the subject of income tax. Our next quarterly income tax distribution is scheduled for the end of May. Obviously, we don't know what that will be. It may be the originally scheduled standard distribution, or it may be altered. But over time, obviously, if we find that receipts are significantly changing, I'll just have to keep you up to date on that. There is fund balance that's unappropriated that we may have to use going forward to fill any deficits in revenue.
And just for Nick's benefit, we increased the unappropriated fund balance to 57% this year rather than 50%, so we have some wiggle room there.
And just to give you a heads up, I am working on what ultimately will be a recommendation to change the property insurance carrier for the town. And I expect that at the next council meeting, I'll have a recommendation with some research and some details about where, we've been and who we've been with and for how long and why I am recommending to change. And under my report is also an agenda item to approve the first option year for the audit service contract. So BBD was awarded a one-year contract by the council last year. That audit went very smoothly. I feel like everyone was happy with the report. We did come here and make a presentation in person. So the contract was written for an additional 4 one-year options. And so this coming year, the price will be the same at $19,500. And it would just be asking council to approve that one-year extension.
Anyone have any questions on the extension?
No, I think they did a good job. I was happy with their report.
I don't have a question on the extension, but I have a question on the budget.
Okay?
With the, like, the grants that we received, like the Earth Day grant and the, some, you know, the arts and entertainment, some of the outside concerts on the square grants, if we don't use that money because we don't have Earth Day, what do we do?
I can speak to that because it comes from the Arts Council.
Mm-hmm.
And we've agreed to go ahead and fund those because we're doing the virtual. So, and we're actually spending less. We've been able with the virtual series to still help the artists by getting them out there. And the fees for the events have been less, but we are still getting those grants. And the arts and entertainment as well.
And we'll use them, because like I see the Earth Day grant, like we only use 900 of the 1,200, so what happens?
We're able
300.
to use the rest of that for the series that we've agreed, from the Arts Council has agreed to, that other 300 from the grant can be used for the virtual series we're doing now. So it will be expended by the end of the year.
That's nice that they're being flexible
Yeah.
with that. That's awesome.
We're actually doing a number of additional grants for artists and stuff, yeah,
Awesome.
as well. So.
We're doing grants that we're giving back out.
I mean, the Arts Council is doing additional grants other than what we had originally planned.
To us or to other artists?
No, to other artists.
Any other comments or any comments on the contract extension for BDD?
Rebecca, I'll just echo what you said, and I thought it went very smooth. I was pleased with them, so. And last year was our first year with them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it went very well. All right, I move to award the next year option for the audit services to BBD LLP in the amount of $19,500.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Anything else, Rebecca?
That's it?
Okay, thank you. Okay, planning department, Jada.
So planning and zoning hasn't had a meeting since November of 2018. Kind of hit a bit of a lull there. 19, sorry. 19.
That's a real long one.
Yeah, that's a really long time. They definitely will have a meeting next week, Monday, on the 18th. We have 2 items on the agenda. Meadows at Town Run Phase 2 is going to be coming through for their approval.
Fine.
Yes, final site plan approval. And then we also have the annual Maryland Department of Planning annual report that we have to do, and that has to be signed off by planning and zoning as well. I also wanted to add that the reports that you received this month from planning and zoning, it looks like it is very small. It looks like not hardly any permits were issued. Due to COVID, we moved to an online system. Everybody applies through for permits via email. So they get processed, they get emailed back out, and then we have to wait for the payments to come in the actual mail, because nobody's here in the office to take them. I do not put permits on that list until payments come in. So this month, the list looks very small. Next month, it will look quite a bit larger, because we'll be receiving payments that haven't come in yet. I just wanted to make you aware of that. Do you have any questions about the permits that were on the list?
All right, so we have a number of ordinances that are being introduced, which under Jada's report are the ones that are text amendments or new ordinances for planning and zoning. So they're just being introduced today. All of them are either to clean up existing ordinances or new issues such as the small wireless facilities. which was a hot topic with MML last year. So we're introducing a couple on those. Jada's gonna walk you through each one. There's no action today. We'll be referring them to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission will review them. So some of the ordinances, if they're in the zoning chapter, they require 2 public hearings, a public hearing at the Planning Commission, and then they'll recommend that to you all, and you all will hold a public hearing. So in June, any of the ones that are zoning related, Planning and Zoning will hold a public hearing and then make a recommendation back to you, and we will hold a public hearing here in July. And then that's when the action is taken. Some of them that are in the regular general portion of the code don't require 2 public hearings, just 1 before you all. So we'll hold those until July and have a public hearing on all the ordinances. There'll be a couple more under my report that I'll talk about later, but Jada's gonna walk through all these that are zoning related with you, just so you have a feel for them.
Okay, so I'll start with the abandoned vehicles in town. As I'm sure you're aware, we do not allow unregistered, untagged vehicles to be parked on private property or on any of the streets here in Leonardtown. That's common practice through other municipalities as well. We're not the only one. This past year, I've run into several times where a letter has been sent out, and I get a lot of questions about what constitutes an abandoned vehicle, what the actual process is. The way the ordinance is written now, it basically just says we do not allow abandoned vehicles. It doesn't give a definition of abandoned vehicle. It doesn't give a process. So in speaking with the town attorney and drafting up some language, the best way to go about it is to use the language from the state. They have a very comprehensive list of exactly what constitutes an abandoned vehicle, and that's any vehicle, boat, RV that is untagged or has invalid tags on it. And it also lists a few other things such as the process. So the process is they'll receive a letter in the mail from me. If they don't respond or remove or tag the vehicle within, I believe they give them 14 days, then after that, we will go out and put a sticker on the vehicle, and we then, as the town, have the authority to have it removed within 24 hours. And the owner of the vehicle is responsible for paying for the towing fees and or storage fees. So that really just kind of cleans up some of the questions that we've had in the past about abandoned vehicles.
So this is ordinance number 196.
Yes. Or no.
Yeah.
Yes, 196.
So we're just referencing the state code.
Yes. It'll just make it a lot simpler and it's more streamlined.
Do we have this come up often?
I'm sorry?
Do we have this come up often?
Actually, we really do, on certain streets.
Gotcha.
There are certain streets where it's more prevalent than others.
Sure.
And in the past, we've been, sometimes people are working on the vehicle. I'm not gonna make them remove the vehicle now if it's on the street. Put it in your driveway, keep it covered, please. And so we do try to be a little bit more lenient, simply because sometimes cars break down and they need to be able to work on them and stuff like that, so they do let it tags lapse for a little while. But then you have some others that will sit on the street and their tires are rusted and it looks awful and they're taking up additional parking spaces for other people. So those are the ones that we're really concerned about and they need to go.
Okay. Other questions on that one?
Where will they get stored at if you take them away?
Well, actually, that's up to the towing company, whichever towing company you
Oh.
call.
Like at their lot?
Yeah,
Oh.
at their lot.
195. That's the property.
So the next one is property maintenance. This is part of the international property maintenance code that we adopted. And it was perfect that we adopted that. We've actually been able to use it several times to help some dilapidated properties here in Leonardtown, so that's working really well. However, we've run into an issue when we adopted the original 2019 or 15 code. Sorry. When we adopted the 2015 code, it recommended that we put a height in inches for how tall grass can get. The previous ordinance said 12 inches. We didn't put 12 inches in this ordinance. So technically, we have no limit, and we have run into an issue recently. So that 12 inches, or whatever height you so determine, really needs to be included. So that's basically all that is just adding in the 12 inches, if that makes sense. And that is actually a big one in Leonardtown. There are letters all the time.
So without having that in there,
Exactly.
there's nothing we can do.
Exactly.
And we did it in our previous ordinance, so.
Yeah.
12 is what we were.
Yeah, the previous one very clearly said your lawn shall not exceed 12 inches. And we just somehow missed over.
Left it out.
Yes, so I just need you to say 12 inches.
Yeah.
Please.
It's 12 inches pretty standard across other places.
Very.
12 inches is pretty tall.
Yeah.
It is pretty tall, to be honest. But, you know, sometimes the dragons that we have, it won't grow to 12 inches. And then some years, like this year, it's been so rainy that you can hit 12 inches real easy.
We have a spot that's, because you can't mow it, it's wet.
Yeah. And the weeds grow. The weeds are definitely 12 inches, no problem.
Yeah.
They go that quick, that fast.
Yes, they do.
Any questions on that? 196? What? Yeah, that was 195.
197 is forest conservation.
So 197, the forest conservation, this actually is being deemed necessary by the state. It was supposed to be adopted by March 30th. However, no jurisdiction met that requirement because they passed the rules and said everybody needs to change it and gave you like 2 weeks to do it. So nobody met it, so they extended it to July, so we're still good. So by the end of July, this needs to be adopted. It's basically just standard language that comes down from the state regarding fee in lieu. I don't think, Laschelle, that we've ever really taken in a fee in lieu at all. However, if we did, it would go from us to county government. We don't have an account set up for that.
It's just, if a development needs to pay a fee in lieu for forest conservation, you have to have an account set up to be able to use that money for forest preserving land, and the county has an account established, so we can use theirs and not have to set up our own forest conservation fund.
So they're just basically just clarifying some of the language there. And then they're also clarifying and adding to what is to be included in the annual report that I do every year. And they're requiring that the number of acres that is to be reforested, or if we're collecting fees and lieu, those all have to be reported on the annual report, whereas in the past they weren't. So, I mean, very standard language coming down from the state, and I guess that we have until the end of July to adopt that.
So any questions on ordinance 197?
So 198, 199, and the resolution are all regarding the small wireless, so if you just want to generally, I guess, what the difference is.
Okay. Well, this one was actually a little more difficult to write. I did a lot of research on how jurisdictions are handling these small wireless facilities. So I tried to write ours so that it matches the character of Leonardtown. We know that they're going to come in. We can't stop them from coming in. So we wanted to make sure that if they're adding new poles, that the poles match the existing poles that we already have. So if something's going to come into the downtown square or into Leonard's Grant, or even into Clark's Rest, the same type of light poles are being used. That way you don't have one beautiful one and one awful ugly one. We really try to keep it aesthetically pleasing. The difference in the ordinances is the first one for the actual small cell facilities is for the downtown area, residential areas. We did restrict so that they can't put any in the downtown park, in the square. You don't really want to see those there. But they will be allowed at the wharf and at the winery and stuff like that, but we really didn't want them in the downtown square just because of the way they look. I don't know if you've ever seen one, but they're a pole. Sometimes they sit at the top and it's just a box that's attached. Most of the time they're down at the bottom. They're not very big, but they can look a little imposing at times. So we did the ordinance to allow them and the ordinance to set up the guidelines. So the aesthetic guidelines that they have to meet. Again, we just really wanted to stay in keeping with what Leonardtown already has done.
And this is being done by like Verizon, like the wireless companies? Is
It
that?
could be the wireless companies.
Yeah, Verizon has actually repurposed their building on the square to handle small cells.
Oh, really?
That's all the construction they did a few months ago.
And the small cells are gonna be just like wireless internet for everybody, or is it gonna be just little like mini towers? Is that what?
5G, right?
It's the,
For the
the new
5G
5G.
expansion, so it's basically just to give better service to what's already existing.
So,
Problem is with 5G, you have to have a pole like every 500 feet. So they're gonna be everywhere.
So we just really need to get ahead of it to have, we can't disallow them, but we need to have regulations, which is what MML has been recommending for the last year or so.
Mhm.
And I did spend a lot of time on the phone with Janine Harrington, the planning director of La Plata, because they already have 2 projects going on in the town of La Plata for these small cell facilities. And she said it was challenging at first, but once they got the hang of it and really kind of sat down and worked with the developers, then it became much easier and they haven't had any problems. So most of our ordinance is based off of what La Plata did, as well as recommendations from the town attorney.
So this is something that we're gonna see like in downtown Leonardtown, like all the way down to the wharf, all the way back up through Leonard's Grant. I mean, is it also gonna be extending out to Breton Bay and to like not in Leonardtown?
It's
Is
gonna be
it
everywhere.
all in St. Mary's County?
It's already in other places.
Just
so-
not here?
Yeah, it's already starting, so, and you'll notice it if you go to drive through, if you're ever up in La Plata, go drive through the town of La Plata, and you'll see them. They've done a very good job at hiding them. Again, they did the same design guidelines that we put together.
Mhm.
Theirs were a little different. Theirs were a little more relaxed. But you can definitely see them when you go through, because you'll see a regular light post, and then you'll see a brand new one with the box on the bottom. And then you'll see another one, another regular one, and then another one with the box on the bottom. So you can see them, but they've done a pretty good job at kind of making them blend in so that they're not quite as noticeable. And the way the guidelines are written is that if at all possible, they will use existing poles
Oh, that's what I was gonna
prior
ask,
to
yeah.
installing new ones.
I don't want 2 poles right next to each other, because one's theirs and one's ours.
Exactly.
So 198 is the streets and sidewalks and
Yes.
and residential,
Yes,
and then the other one is,
that's for the rest of the town.
okay.
Yes.
And then the guidelines is the resolution, which technically a resolution we can pass at the same meeting. You don't have to have public hearing on that. But since these are all related, we're just gonna hold everything for July.
Have we been contacted by any to put any of these in yet?
No.
Not yet.
Now, when Verizon came through to do their project inside the building and a little bit outside, I asked them what was going on, and they didn't say anything. But we all know that that's exactly what they're gearing up for. But nothing's come forward yet, thank goodness.
Okay.
Interesting.
Thank you. Any other questions for Jada?
So we'll refer these to the planning commission for their June meeting and schedule a public hearing
So then they come back to us
in July.
in July.
And have
Got it.
another public hearing here, and you can make the decision.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Everyone should have received a copy of Corporal Nelson's report. He was here, but anyway, take a look at the report and, hasn't been a lot going on, obviously, because of COVID. Okay, Laschelle, your report, please.
First item is the extension of the Woodlawn lawn care contract. The lawn contract was last bid May of 2017, and Woodlawn was awarded a 3-year contract. There are 2 one-year extensions still available on the contract. He is holding the FY20 prices. And occasionally, if we add a street or need additional services, that's the only way the contract is increased. Or if we ask them to do something extra, if there's a storm and they need to go out and clean up one of the parks extra or something like that. But as far as the base contract price, he is holding the FY20 price. They do an incredible job for the town. They do donate a lot of services and don't charge us. I did attach the June 2017 minutes, just so you could read the approval of the contract last time, but this is just an award for one more additional year, and then we'll have 1 extension after that. That's still available.
Any questions?
I was gonna say, as always, they do a great job. Town always looks great.
They do, they kind of use us as an example of the work they do, so they do try to keep it well maintained.
And they did all the work down on the square, correct? All the,
Yes,
yeah, it
under
looks
their
like it turned out
contract.
great.
And they're putting the swing in the
Yeah.
park. If they can ever get back
I
to work on
know.
it.
Care to make a motion?
So I move to extend the Woodlawn lawn care contract for 1 year through June 30th, 2021.
I'll second.
Motion and second, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
The next item is, we are in dire need of a new roof for this town hall building, and at the same time, the sludge drying beds at the wastewater treatment plant need a new roof. So we utilized a contract, and Beth has been handling the project, and she's gonna kind of review it with you.
So we utilized a vendor called Ordinance, and Ordinance does the job order contracting through Sourcewell, which used to be NJPA, which is the National Joint Powers Alliance. Basically, it's like through our existing membership, we were able to utilize them as our different contractors. Gordian provides actually they provided us the transport for the state of Maryland, which is over 3,700 pages of different type of projects they can work on, materials and things like that. And they do competitive or good jobs. We had approximately, or I should say they really did all the work on this, and they were amazing to deal with, as well as 7 bids were submitted to them, their contractor. 15 people came out to actually look at it, but only 7 of them did submit bids to them. We did check pricing with an outside source, and it came in, it is comparable. We also did have a question on one of the line items, and it was specifically, we did not think they needed the amount of equipment there that they're saying, and they looked at it and they said, we have done some other things to the building as well since they first came out, so it made a difference for them. And they reduced it, so, yeah.
for town hall, it's $37,779.88. And Rebecca had incorporated a $30,000 emergency contingency when she was doing the work for the budget on the fund balance. So there will be a little bit of additional that needs to come out of that, but it would come out of fund balance, and we knew that this was coming. And then as far as the sludge bed roof, that is $38,271.98, and that would come out of contingency under the wastewater treatment plant category. Any questions on that? On the town hall bid, if you looked at that, there was a bid for a shingled roof, and then another option was a standing seam metal roof, and that was $137,000, so we thought that was a little bit steep. So we decided to pursue the shingled.
And they're aware of that at this point.
I'm assuming once this is approved, we'll get them, they'll start right away. Yeah.
Yes.
So do they hire local people, or where do they come from?
They do hire local people as well, but they use suppliers that they have dealt with before, who have gotten nothing but good ratings.
Mhm.
So, and as far as the different, this is Sourcewell's information I have here, but they have different, I'll call them contract managers, and Gordian is our area, so the thing was building infrastructure repairs.
And where are they out of then?
Gordian is out of South Carolina specifically, but our local rep is in Virginia, Northern Virginia. So, and again, they've been so amazing to deal with any question I have asked, they've answered, and it's just been
Then you said they got 7 different bids.
Yes,
But they don't tell us who actually submitted the bids.
exactly. It's all through them.
But there's 7 bids from people from the area, or 7
Yes,
bids from?
and so for instance, do I know all of them that came through? No, but I do know some of them. Let's say Taman came through. I found this for some of them, not all of them came through.
Okay. I mean, I'd like to see, as a town, I'd like to see us supporting a local business.
But yeah, I mean,
So-
all the local contractors were able, if they wanted to, they could bid on it.
Correct, that is correct.
But it's not but we don't see it. The bidding process, like you said, you don't know who bid and you don't know what, so it's not an open bidding process like we're used to doing here.
For me, no.
So have we used Gordian before?
No.
For any, this is our first time?
Mhm, mhm.
So they do all kinds of projects.
They do.
Yeah.
Like I said, their price book is 3,700 pages of different pricing for specific things. I tried to print the roofing stock specific area, but I could not print that, so.
The issue we've had for years and years is unresponsive bidders. We ask for a job and we make contact and people just we're either too busy or we were too far away and we could not get the required number of bids on an individual basis for projects. And so this state of Maryland contract is now administered by Gordian. And so the unit prices are set. So
So we're basically piggybacking off
it's
of
a
it.
piggybacking
Awesome.
contract. So we
Yeah.
take out the need for our staff time to write up the specs, contact all the people, and then manage the project. These guys are managing the project from start to finish.
I can tell you, just being in the insurance business, everyone is busy right now with roofing contracts.
I guess I'm looking at it like we could be ordering all our stuff from Amazon or we could be ordering it from a local company. And I feel like, maybe Amazon's faster usually and, it's got good supplies but we're not supporting a local business. And so that would be my concern. I feel like this is kind of the same thing. We're using a national company that we could be getting the supplies from anywhere.
So the subcontractor, the general contractor under Gordian is Centennial. They're out of Marlboro.
Correct.
They take care of all of Southern Maryland.
Okay.
So it would be that local connection for the general contractor. And now he works with the individual other companies. They're actually gonna have men on site.
Correct,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So the local contractors had a chance to bid on it.
Yeah, and Gordian's just the middleman, I'll call it.
Yeah.
They bid everything and then we deal directly with the company. Kind of a nice tool.
So I guess working with them, it kind of helps to expedite
Yes.
the process
Sure
of the bid.
does. And
Makes it
get
easier on staff.
more companies to bid on it than we would be able to
Then we
do.
would, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So,
Yeah, 7's a lot of,
but 15 came in.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And if we did a 15, I'm out.
No, and we get like 1 or 2 bids and we're like,
Yeah.
woohoo.
We see it all the time.
Yeah.
All right, well, I move to award the roof repair contract for Town Hall and treatment plant sludge beds to Centennial Contractors Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $37,779.88 for Town Hall and $38,271.98 for the sludge bed roof.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
The next two items are back to ordinances that are just being introduced, and we will be holding public hearings on them. So we've talked before about a project that's going to be coming forward for an annexation of a parcel at the corner of Route 4 and Route 5, just below Cedar Lane. And St. Mary's Nursing Center is proposing to annex that property to be able to build a new memory care facility that's much needed in the area. And so as the beginning of that annexation process, there's a couple of things that the town has to do to prepare for that. The first one is the introduction of ordinance number 200 is for the change to the comprehensive plan that we adopted. And there's a section of the comprehensive plan, which I included it in your packet, that is about future annexations and growth areas. So when we were doing the comp plan in 2010, we had to show what areas we would be considering for future growth. And at the time, that was the Hayden Farm, and it was the Riken property, because they had not been annexed yet. When the Wilkinson Farm and the Wathen Farm annexed in, we went through the same process and added those farms with the state as future growth areas for the town. So we need to go through that process once again if we are going to move forward with the request for the St. Mary's Nursing Center. They are working on the petition. We should have that within the next couple of weeks. But this is going to take through July, because we'll hold a public hearing in July, and then we have to send it to the state. So introducing that as part of the packet to go through the public hearing process. And this one also does go to the Planning Commission for a public hearing as well in June. And then the second one is the same thing. So once that goes through, we will have to modify our zoning map. And as part of the annexation process, they're going to request institutional office, which is what the nursing home property is also zoned as, and as well as SMECO and what else is the governmental center, the hospital. So that's the appropriate category for something like this memory care facility. And right now, because it's in the county, it is under the county zoning, so we will be working with the county to request that they agree to zone it the institutional office for this specific project. So this will also go through the public hearing process to revise our zoning map to show this property in the future as institutional office. So no action on either of those today. It'll just be part of the packets that go to the public hearing in July before you all and June at the planning commission. Questions? Okay, just a couple things that aren't on the agenda, just to bring up to speed. I know Mary had sent an email about what's available for small businesses as far as grants. And the county did approve a couple $1 million out of their CARES grant that they're getting, the federal grant they're getting for the pandemic. For small businesses, for grants that will go to local small businesses. I talked to Chris Casalemas on Friday, and they are working through what those guidelines are going to be as far as the size of the company. I think they're looking at maybe like $10,000 grants, something like that. So those will be coming forward very shortly. They just need to put the guidelines in place. But the county commissioners did approve that $2 million last week. So that will be coming out. We have held, we had LBA held a Zoom meeting and had a number of people from Economic Development, Small Business Development Center, and there to answer questions for the small businesses. I know a couple of our businesses did get the grants, some of the grants that have been available, the PPP grants. So we have another call scheduled next Monday with LBA, and they're putting it out, and anyone can join on the call, with Gretchen Hardman from the governor's office to kind of prepare people on what they're going to need to do to reopen. So, and we are sharing everything on our Facebook and trying to get this information out. So as economic development comes up with these guidelines, we'll make sure we get it out to all the businesses.
I have to tell you, I applied for one of the grants back in March from Maryland, the COVID-19 grant. And I applied, I think, on March 27th. On April 1st, I got an email saying, congratulations, you've been awarded the grant. You know, you'll receive the paperwork in 2 weeks. A week ago, I got an email from the state of Maryland saying, oh, sorry, the grant money's already run out. So even though we've already approved you, you're not getting the grant money. And as a small business, it's a really good thing I didn't go out and spend that $10,000 because I wouldn't have gotten it. And this is part of what I'm seeing out there is that the grant process is just such turmoil for all these small businesses.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what it said. A couple other things. Jay Johnson did retire on April 29th, I think was his last day as superintendent of the wastewater treatment plant. He was here for 17 years. We do want to have a little reception or something for him whenever things open back up again. He is doing well. Joe Boussier was the assistant superintendent. He's been in training to step into Jay's shoes. So that transition happened as of May 1st. And we are in the process of interviewing for another operator or operator trainee at the plant. So if you see Joe, congratulate him. Jay felt very comfortable that Joe was ready. He's been in the field for many, many years. So, and he has a lot of ideas. He's working with Beth and I to make some changes, and so we look forward to that. So I sent you the email about the banners for the high school seniors from Riken and Leonardtown. So
Those turned out great.
Today. Barefoot Graphics, the town, and Old Town Insurance were sponsors. So there's 30 of these, and I have a group of volunteers who are going to help hang them. And if any of you are interested, I know Jay and Mary had both mentioned, we're going to do it Friday at 3. And so there'll be 4 down at the wharf, which are a little bit taller, larger ones, and then there are 8 of the Riken banners and 22 of the Leonardtown High School ones. I think it's 490 some Leonardtown students and 150 some Riken students. So it's been an interesting process, but we appreciate the sponsors, and we look forward to this. I think, I've had a lot of parents talking about it, they're really excited, so I think
Yeah, it's
it'll be a
great.
really great program for us.
Mhm.
And then the final thing, Dan and I were contacted by a business at the St. Mary's Medical Arts Building. The gentleman who has the pharmacy there, there's 4 units in that building, and Dr. George was his office. Dr. George passed away recently, and that spot is available. The gentleman that has the pharmacy would like to start a small, like different, little bit of grocery, a little bit of.
Small convenience store.
Convenience store kind of thing. The zone, it does meet the zoning, they do have plenty of EDUs available, but he wanted just to have a little discussion about carrying alcohol, selling alcohol for off-site sales, because I guess, and I've actually heard that from some of the Cedar Lane residents that they would like to be able to have that service. So I guess just before he proceeds through the process, the liquor board wanted him to see how you all felt about it, if there would be any issue with it. Like I said, it does meet the zoning. We would just need to do a liquor license letter of support at another meeting once he applies. Just for like package store.
That's the building right next to Dr. Fenwick's office.
Right.
Yes, right by Cedar Lane.
How big of a convenience store is he?
It's about 2,500 square feet. It's just one of the units within the building. I think 2,500 is what he said, yeah. Just for carry-out kind of things, and just, there's nothing close by for them. I know they have delivery of groceries, but not liquor. And
Should we put the glass recycling thing over there too for them?
Right. Anyone have any concerns over it? I mean, he would come back to officially, I request a letter of support, but just before he proceeded with the application process.
Okay.
And I think that's everything I had.
Okay, anything else for Michelle? Okay. Move on to my report. Actually, Laschelle or myself sit in on the county's EOC meeting Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and I was on the one today. Luckily, the hospitalizations are down in St. Mary's County and in Maryland, so that's dropped in Maryland for about 12 days now, so hopefully, I understand the governor's probably going to have a press conference on Friday, let us know what the next steps would be, so hopefully that continues, so it's going in the right direction, so. Locally, we just have, 241 cases today? As of today.
244 or something like that today, yeah.
And we're up to 9 deaths, but still, overall, we're doing better than a lot of the states, so things are going well there. But hopefully things get back open here real soon, so. The only other thing I wanted to mention was I was out at Fox Rest this morning, kind of just doing my normal drive around the town in the mornings, and they're starting the asphalt back there, so they should be doing the connection to Leonard's Grant here, probably they're hoping Wednesday.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
And talking to, what's the guys, Joe, the superintendent out there, they sold 3 houses over the weekend.
Yeah, I've heard house sales are
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
going.
And like I was
There's
telling
no
people,
inventory.
people, they're empty houses, so they can, no one's never lived there, so they can go in and feel comfortable with it, so probably helping them in that case too, so.
I have a quick question on the connector road. Is there, I can't remember, are there sidewalks down the connector road? Or like a bike path or something?
I can't
No.
remember.
No, sorry. I don't think so. The shoulders, I mean.
Right.
Okay, move on to events. Tyler.
So with the last couple of months, the town's taken a different approach, and the annual Earth Day event was held virtually. It was commemorating the 50th anniversary of the National Earth Day and the 20th anniversary of the Town's Own Earth Day celebration, and it was extremely successful. It was held online through the town's website, Facebook, and YouTube. The events were tree planting ceremony that included a greeting from Mayor Dan Burris and a reading of the Earth Day proclamation by Town Council member Jay Mattingly. The event also included a virtual version of the Reptile World Show, the Waterman Tour, courtesy of Captain Phil of the Fish of the Bay Charters, the Nature Tour at the Wharf given by Bob Wentworth of Wentworth Nursery, and many of the other local businesses and organizations participated in the programming, including a cooking show and fitness demo from Root Sup and Fitness, and story and craft time provided by Artful Playhouse that was sponsored by Fenwick Street Used Books and Music. A highlight of the event was the finale hosted by local popular musicians Robbie Booth and Donovan Farrell. Robbie and Donovan were joined by many talented guests, including Philip Michael Parsons, Wes Rice, Tara Ray, Lakeisha Smith, Donald Quaid, and many more. Following the success of the Earth Day virtual event, the town, the Leonardtown Business Association, and the St. Mary's Arts County Arts Council partnered together to launch a virtual programming platform called Leonardtown A&E Online. As part of the Leonardtown Arts and Entertainment District, the new virtual programming provides a platform for the town to feature the amazing talent that we have here in Leonardtown and throughout Southern Maryland. Access is free and open to the public and features online classes, demos, workshops, and a variety of subjects from cooking and fitness to learning a new skill like knitting and dancing taught by local teachers and instructors. Upcoming events at the time, the town's continuing to plan for the 18th annual beach party event for Saturday, August 8th, and that will be from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., but updates will change as we get more status updates with the coronavirus.
We've already made and doing all of the concerts and anything that was scheduled have gone to virtual and will either have their own freestanding concert or be part of this series, just to be able to continue to use the artists that had already planned on participating. And then I know they've already canceled the jazz festival and our participation in that, and we'll just have to make a call on beach party as things move along, and we'll see what happens.
Okay,
Right, that was it.
thank you. Community development and planning, that was Hayden, of course. It sounds like Nick, we've talked, and you might kind of fall into that category, so
Yep.
we'll work on that. Kristi, utilities, please.
Excuse me, I don't have a whole lot to report. The work down on Route 5 looks like it's kind of slowed down, at least on the water main. I think they were having some soils issues, I think I heard. And then there were also, they're still working on the stream on the opposite side over by Single Tree, so that's still, it's a mess back there, but
What are
they're
they
doing okay with I think they're relocating the stream and doing some
Still
wetland
storm.
mitigation kind of stuff, and
The
it's-
stream has to actually move to accommodate the widening of the
Yeah.
road.
But I mean,
Sounds
considering
really complicated.
it's crazy looking, like there's
Yeah.
boards all around all the trees to
Yeah.
protect them. It's
Yeah.
wild looking
That was
over
the
there.
biggest part of the project over the last, 15 years that I've been going to meetings.
Yeah.
But, I mean, getting through, you have to show that there's no other alternative to be able to move the
Mhm.
stream, and it's very complicated.
Yeah, it's
That's
big.
probably the worst part of the project.
Yeah.
So they'll take the boards off, I guess, once everything
Yeah,
is
this is just to
moved?
protect the
Yeah,
trees
it's
while
just-
the
okay.
equipment is moving around. and
Yeah,
stuff.
somebody asked me, they were like, where are the boards? I was like, I don't know.
Just to protect the trees.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but other than that, it's going all right. I mean, as well as can be expected,
Sniper
so.
building has gone up
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
gangbusters, like.
Yeah, I didn't realize how big it was gonna be till you drive past. You're like, wow, are they keeping the old building? I can't
No, it
remember.
gets torn down,
Okay,
but
that's what I
that's
thought.
part of the phased.
Right.
But,
It looks like it's gonna be a nice looking building
yeah,
now.
I think they're doing
That's all I have.
Thank you. Jada, Southern Maryland Municipal Association.
All right, Mayor, thank you. Again, congratulations to you on your reelection, and Nick, congratulations to you, a newly elected council member. Probably many of y'all saw that MML, the summer conference, went virtual, so it's now June 29th and 30th, so kudos to their staff. I know that was a lot of work, putting that, expediting that process. SMMA, I guess the biggest thing is we're still in active discussion on when we're going to meet, where we're going to meet. And Terry, I think you said that it's La Plata that takes over next, right? Not Leonardtown, not North Beach. So it's La Plata. So they'll be taking it over next. Laschelle, thanks again for the banners. I know you worked hard on expediting that process and proofreading all those names.
Oh my God, her, she's been
So-
hours.
Oh my God.
That was a lot, so.
And some of
thank you
those
for
you
that.
couldn't tell if they were right or wrong anyway, I'm sure.
No. And again, I just want to say congratulations to Jay Johnson for retiring, and best of luck to Joe on taking over. I think he'll do well. And that's all I have, so thank you.
Thank you. Mary, Business Development and Retention.
Guys, it's bad out there. Last week, I met with 2 small businesses here in Leonardtown. One of them I met with, we had to lay off all their employees. I was like, you have to let them all go. You guys are not going to be open when this all survives if you don't let them go. The second business is closing their doors for good permanently here in Leonardtown. So we're losing 2 businesses. We're losing one, and the others are really struggling. I met with a vendor truck last week that usually does all the, concerts and Earth Day and everything. They're struggling. There's just nothing for them. And I met with 6 businesses today. This is what I do. It's not tax season. This is what I'm doing. I met with a restaurant, a retail store, entertainment, a government contractor that they're losing. The government contractor's going away. They're losing their job by the end of the year. A waterman who, they can't sell their fish. There's no restaurants to buy them. A freelance photographer who doesn't have any contracts, and a daycare that's closed because of this. So it's a really, really serious issue, and anything we can do to help these small businesses. And unfortunately, like we said earlier, the government's just totally overwhelmed. Unemployment is 8 weeks out. I've got, people that own hair salons that are sitting there in the food line trying to get food. They don't, they're going, do I operate and get arrested, or do I not feed my family? And that's what I'm working with on a daily basis. It is rough out there. So anything we can think to do, please tell businesses they can call me. I'm happy to sit down and talk to them. I will give them all the information I have. I've been walking through people getting their PPPs, trying to help them out. Everything stays confidential. I will not tell anybody what I see. So that's something it's been really rough out there. And that's what I have. Leonardtown Beacon looks great, though. Did want to say that.
It does.
Did want to end with a positive. And could we please, please, please get a professional photographer to take our headshots so we can look in there and be as nice as they are.
Next month, we were waiting until the election was over with, and we're going to do new joint, and we'll do headshots as well.
Okay, that would be great.
So maybe we'll do it a little bit before the meeting next month. But I'll let you know for sure, but he was just waiting till we got the election.
Well, I have a freelance photographer that's looking for work.
Well,
a lot of
there's
them.
somebody doing it for free, so I don't know.
Freeze on.
Free's good, but supporting our local business is good too.
Well, this is a little.
Okay. Any other business?
One more thing, I just want to thank the town staff too for the election. They all did a outstanding job on ensuring everything was clean, sanitized, social distancing, so thank you.
Yeah, it was nice, just in and out. It was.
No.
We did get an email from a couple people that said that it was just went so smoothly, and I know staff worked really hard.
No.
Everybody volunteered time to come in, and it was just, everybody seemed very safe and.
Mhm.
It was a nice process.
Yep. So,
And I just
thank
want
you.
to add to the staff working through this whole process of the COVID process, working from home, working here.
Yeah.
It's not easy. for
It's
anybody.
very challenging.
Thank you. Okay. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
I need to approve that one day.
No, I want to stay here forever.